Well, Addison and I have been hiking in the woods 4th grade, and we were on a long hike, and I drank 6/10 of my water along the trail. So my question to you is, 6/10 of my water, what would that be using hundredths?
First, let's think about what 6/10 actually means. So I didn't drink the whole bottle of water, but I drank 6/10 of it. So if I'm looking at my whole box here as a whole, I drank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of a liter, leaving 4 liters left. So if I'm going to look at it from the hundreds block, well, we know one row of the hundreds block is 10, so I did 6 of them, just like on the other drawing that I did. So 6 rows of 10 little blocks would also be this equivalent to 60 hundredths. So you see that 6/10 is equal to 60 hundredths. See how basically you just added a 0 to the 6 here and to the 10 to get 60 hundredths? That's what we're going to model on the right here. So 6 times 10 is 60, and remember, whatever you do to the numerator you must do to the denominator, so we're going to multiply that by 10 as well, and that gets us 100. So 2 ways of showing that 6/10 and 60 hundredths are exactly the same thing. And there's yet another way that you can think about it. If I'm writing 6/10, there's nothing in the ones place because I did not complete a whole liter of water. And then I have my decimal point. It's never very easy to write a decimal point on the iPad here. And in the tenths place, I have the 6. And there's nothing in the hundreds place, but when there's nothing there, we can write a 0. So it's showing that 6/10 is in fact the same thing as 60 hundredths.
As you can tell, 4th grade, it's been raining for quite a few days now. So I decided to measure the rainfall, and here's what I got. It said 30 hundredths of an inch. So what does that equal in tenths?
Now, one way we can think about 30 hundredths is by writing it in our place value chart here. So there's nothing in the ones. We have the decimal point. There's a 3 in the tenths spot and a 0 in the hundredths. So like we had said before, there's a 0 in the hundredths. 3/10 is the same thing as 30 hundredths. So 30 hundredths is equal to 3/10, and we can write it also like this: 3/10. It's hard to see my decimal point there, but it is there, so 3/10. I'll write it really big like this. They're the same thing, same meaning. There's another way to look at this. We can write 30 hundredths as a fraction. So we start thinking about it. 30 hundredths is looking like this, and when we put it into fraction format, we have 30 over 100, which tells me it's 30 hundredths. And then we can take that and make an equivalent fraction with the denominator being 10 because we want to switch it to tenths, correct? So let's look at the relationship in this part here. 100 divided by what equals 10? Or you could say 10 times what is 100, and of course that is 10. So remember, whatever you do to the denominator, you must do to the numerator. Same rule as always. So 30 divided by 10 is 3. Now, 4th grade, the easiest way I see to think about is like this. So essentially, this equals this. So if you have a 0 or you don't, it doesn't matter. They mean the same thing. So a 0, really, it's just holding a place. 3/10, 30 hundredths, they're the same thing. So let's try one together here. Here is 1/10. So let's think about what it would look like as a fraction. So it would be like this. And then we need to turn it to hundredths. So by doing that, we're going to be multiplying by 10. and getting 10 hundredths. And then again, when we write that as the hundredths as a decimal, it would look like this. Hope you were able to do that along with me. Now let's try one more. And let's try one that's in hundredths like this, 20 hundredths. Now, first of all, let's turn that to tenths with a fraction. So we're essentially dividing by 10. And what would you do? 20 divided by 10 equals 2. And when we write that as a decimal, it would look like this. I hope you enjoyed lesson 9.3. Tomorrow we'll be working on equivalent fractions and decimals in class.